What's going on, guys? Daric here from DaricBennett.com. If you're returning, welcome back. This is part 2 of the mode series. All right, learning and understanding the modes. If you haven't watched part 1, I strongly suggest you go watch that now so you can be caught up to where we are. So as I said in part 1, the mode series is going to be pretty lengthy. That's only because there's so much information that you can use learning the modes and understanding them. All right, make sure you realize that's two different things, learning and understanding. All right, so I don't want to waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so in the last lesson we left off on the Lydian mode, L-Y-D-I-A-N. All right, so we're still in the key of C major. The Lydian is the 4th mode, so therefore we have to start on the 4th note of the major scale, okay? Which is F, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we're in any key, it doesn't matter. If we're in any major key, the 4th note is always going to be the one to start on for the Lydian. All right, so say if we're in D, we're in D major, the 4th note is going to be the Lydian. All right, so D, E, F sharp, G. All right, that's going to be our Lydian mode. So back to the key of C major. We started the Lydian on the 8th fret, on the A string, on that F. All right, we started there. So we have F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. All right, and if you had to relate this to the major scale, it really looks very similar to the majors, just a regular major scale. So if we were to play an F major scale, let's find the differences in between that. There's an F major scale, and here's an F Lydian. All right, so that if you didn't notice, that 4th note is sharp. Okay, so that's the difference between the Lydian scale and just the regular major scale. So you have the 1st note, 2nd note, the same. 3rd note is the same. 4th note is sharp, and the rest of the scale stays the same. Okay, so that's how you can kind of relate Lydian to the major scale, just remembering that the sharp 4 is there, all right, instead of a regular natural 4. Sharp 4. All right, so now we got that 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. These are the finger numbers, so if you have to remember like that, that's great too. 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. All right, and that is the Lydian. I'll show you in the next coming videos how to use these scales and even how to break them down into chord changes. All right, but we'll leave that for next time. I'll really start breaking this down to where you understand it in the context of a song. So next mode, we did the 4th mode. Now we're on the 5th mode. Okay, so 5th mode means 5th note of the scale. So now we're going to start that on the A string 10th fret. All right, we're going to start a Mixolydian scale on the A string 10th fret. That's our G. Okay, so to play the rest of the scale, we have to play the natural notes of the major scale. All right, so that's all we're doing. That's why I played the. That's why I'm doing this in the key of C major, because there's no accidentals. We just have to find the natural notes. All right, so it makes it a little bit easier for us. So 1st note G, A, whole step away, B, C, D, E, F, which is a half step away from E. Okay, then we have the last and final note is G. All right, just right from where we started. All right, the octave of where we started from. So all together we have. That is our Mixolydian scale. And to relate that with a major scale, all right, let's play a G major scale. Now let's play the Mixolydian. All right, what was different about that? The 7 is flat in the Mixolydian scale. All right, that's the major. All right, that's the major scale. But the Mixolydian requires the flat 7. All right, everything else is the same, but that 7th note. The 7th note is flat. All right, so that's a good way to remember that as well. All right, so let's just backtrack a little bit. Lydian was a sharp sharp 4. Mixolydian is a flat 7. Okay, let's keep going. So that's our Mixolydian. All right, very similar to the Lydian. All we do is add that mixo on the front of the Lydian. But anyway, next mode is Aeolian. All right, Aeolian, that's our 6th mode. So therefore, we're going to start that on the 6th note of the scale, the major scale. So what's that? Let's go back to the major scale. If we have to reference, I mean, if we can't do it in our head, it's no problem to reference the scale by playing it. No problem doing that. Don't beat yourself up about not knowing immediately what's the 6th note of the scale. All right, but it is good to know over time. But if you're just starting off, don't beat yourself up about if you have to reference. That's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. All right. So the 6th note of the scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. It is our A. All right. So we're going to start that on the A. So guess what? We're going to do that on the 12th fret on the A string. All right. Very simple, right? So now we have to find the notes of a C major scale, but we're starting on A. All right. This is our Aeolian scale. All right, so another way to remember that is Aeolian starts on A in the key of C major. Anyway, but that's just a quick little way I remember, especially if I'm in the key of C. All right, the Aeolian starts on A. Anyway, so we're going to find the notes inside the major scale starting on A on the 12th fret on the A string. So now we got to find our B. All right, whole step away. C, half step. D, E, whole step. F, half step. G, whole step. Okay, that's our final note, our octave of our first note. Okay, so all together we have. And this should look very, very familiar. If you have been following these videos of my tutorials for any length of time, you know I've gone over the minor scale, the natural minor scale. All right, so this should look very, very similar to you. All right, and that's when we start getting into relative majors, relative minor. All right, so this scale is nothing but a natural minor scale. All right, but we're still in the key of C major. All right, that's what makes that interesting. All right, we're still in the key of C major, but we can play an A minor scale, a natural minor scale. But we're still in that key. We're still in the key of C major. Because A minor is the relative minor of C major. Okay? So, but we'll get into that a little bit more. All right, so you can play a C major scale and an A minor scale and still be right. Because you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. You have all the notes that are correct inside of a major scale. You're just starting on a different note. All right, so you get this crazy sound, minor sound, inside of the a major key. All right, but that's what makes it great. That's what makes music so interesting. And that goes along with improvising as well. We'll get into that a little bit more too. But just remember the Aeolian, I think it's A-E-O-L-I-A-N. Aeolian scale starts on the A and it's going to be the natural minor scale. All right. So we got that. Last but not least, I'll go ahead and switch legs over here to get a little bit higher. That's another technique that I would show, that I show you that it's actually easier to play these higher notes when you switch from your right leg to your left leg, depending on if you're right-handed. All right, but anyway, next mode, we did A. We did Aeolian. A for Aeolian. All right, so we did that. Now it was our 6th mode. So now we're going to the 7th mode, which is the 7th note, excuse me, which is the 7th note of the scale. So we have to go back here, backtrack, or even play it up here. You can reference it that way too, as well. Anyway, but you can play it like that as well if you want to reference the 7th note of the major scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing if we were down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and that is our B. All right, in this case of being in C major, we're going to be playing the last mode on B. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to play it up here, right, on the 14th fret. I know that's pretty high. All right, I'm almost running out of frets too because it's a short scale bass, but but we can do it. Trust me, you can do it. If you have this scale, you should be able to play these notes too. So our last mode, I don't think I said the name of it. Locrian, Locrian, Locrian mode. Okay, this is our 7th mode. Okay, so now I'm going to play it for you, and we'll figure out the differences between a major scale or a minor scale even. So let's play it. Let's figure it out. We have B. We got to find a natural note, so the C major scale. C, half step, right? D, whole step. All right, we have E. F, half step. G, whole step. A, whole step to the original octave of the first note. Okay, so all together a little bit faster. So what this reminds me of, reminds me of a minor scale. All right, this reminds me of a natural minor scale, but a couple of notes are different. But we have that minor third in there. All right, we have that note in there that kind of lets it, that reminds me of that minor scale, because a natural minor scale has a minor third, which we have that in there already too, but some of the notes are a little bit different. So if we were to play a B minor scale, natural minor, if we were to play that, it's a little bit different. We have a couple of different notes. The second note in the Locrian mode is flat. So instead of having, you would have, all right, next string. So we have first, second note, third note, fourth note. The 5th note is also flat. All right, so we got the second note, which is flat, and the 5th note is also flat. The rest of them are the same if we were to play a natural minor scale. Natural minor, Locrian. All right, just a way to remember that too. Fingering wise for that, for this particular scale, you're doing 1 3 4 for the natural minor. 1 3 4 1 3 4 1 3. All right, for the Locrian mode, you're doing 1 2 4 1 2 4. All right, so you see that you got 1 3 4 1 3 4. For the Locrian, you have 1 2 4 1 2 4. So you're not even using your third finger for the first 2 lines. So. Sorry, I played a note that wasn't inside the scale. Anyway, but you get the gist of it. All right, so there we are, guys. That is the last mode. We've just gone through all 7 modes. All right, so in the next series of lessons for the modes, we'll start breaking these modes down to what they really mean. All right, we'll start relating them in a song context. We'll start relating them in a chord context, chord sequences, and scale degrees too. We'll get into that. So we'll really start breaking the stuff down to where we understand it. So the first part was learning. Okay, first part was learning. This next part is going to be understanding. Okay, you can play these modes all day long, but where do you play them? How do you play them? How do you implement them in your playing? Okay, so we'll figure that out in the next series of modes. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss the next series of lessons that's coming up your way. So practice these 7 modes very slow. All right, make sure your fingering is correct. Your notes are coming out clean, clear, and precise, like I always say. All right, take your time with these. All right, if you have to memorize the finger numbers, memorize the fingering numbers. Just for an example, if you have to memorize 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4, and then 1 3 4 1 3 1 2 4, and then 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3. If you have to remember the fingerings for that, that's perfect. That's fine. Whatever way is comfortable for you. If you have to learn the notes of them, you have to do C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, you got to do D, E, F, G, A. You have to know the notes and say the notes out loud and to be able to remember that. That's all fine too. But remember and look at the pattern. Watch the pattern. Be mindful of the pattern of these modes. So next time we get together, I want you to be able to play these modes back and forth, to be able to be comfortable with playing them so we can really start digging into it. The more you know, the better you know the modes, the more you'll be comfortable with the next section or the next series of lessons that's going to be coming out on the mode. So stay tuned. Until next time.